In order to run a Levene's test within Excel, there are a few things we'll need to do with our group 1 data and our group 2 data. The first has to do is to find the mean of each group. So I'm going to create another variable and call it group 1 mean, and then that's going to be equal to, and in Excel we use the word average to refer to the mean, and select all my group 1 data. Click OK. Now I want this 4.3 value to go all the way down there, so what I can do, instead of repeating it, I can't use the autofill, but what I can do in the formula bar is just select by double clicking and then hit the F4 key, and it locks the cell. Same with the A11, F4 key. Then I'm happy with that, click OK, and now when I drag this down and use the autofill function, you can see I have the group 1 mean all the way down. Okay, let's do the same for the group 2 mean. Okay, so this will equal the average or the mean of all the values in group 2. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's now adjust the formula to give absolute values using the F4 key. Happy with that. Drag it all the way down. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to find differences for each value and the group mean. Now we don't want positives and negatives, and rather than using the squaring as you might see in the standard deviation formula, we're going to use the absolute function. Let me show you what I mean. So for group 1 difference, this is going to be equal to, then I put in equals ABS referring to absolute, open brackets, and now it doesn't matter whether I do group 1 minus group 1 mean or group 1 mean minus group 1, it'll come out the same. So I'm going to use group 1 minus group 1 mean, close brackets, hit return, and as you can see that one is obvious because it's just 4.3, but it's not minus 4.3. And now use the autofill function, and for each value I have the absolute value of the difference between the mean of group 1 and each of the values. Let's do the same for group 2. So create a variable group 2 diff. These creation of variables are just for my convenience so that I can understand what I've done when I come back to the spreadsheet later. So that's going to equal the absolute value, open brackets, of the group 2 value and the group 2 mean, close brackets, and again it's going to give me positive numbers. I can use the autofill all the way down. Okay, we are now in a position where we can start to think about using what is equivalent to the Levene's test, which is a version of the Anova test. Now if you haven't got the data analysis add-in, then I'll refer you back to my first Excel video on t-test to show you how to do that. But I've clicked on the data tab, click on data analysis, it's at the very top, it's called Anova single factor. The results of this will be equivalent to a Levene's test, and we're only going to work on these two columns. We are only looking at the differences of the two means, and we're using Anova because we'll be comparing both a within study and a between study. So let's select that out. So the input range will be everything. I've noticed I've included the labels in the first row, so I'm going to click on that. Our alpha is our well-known significance level, set here to the usual 0.05 or 5%, our usually accepted chance of a type 1 error or a false positive. And the output range, I'll simply select an empty cell, there we are, and then I'll click OK. What we have here is the result of the Anova, which, as I said a moment ago, is equivalent to a Levene's test. The Levene's test is looking to see if you have, within the possibility of random chance, the same variance between the two groups, across the two groups, and we're looking at the variances of group 1 and group 2, and for that we have to focus on these new variables, group 1 difference and group 2 difference. What's important is the p-value. The p-value here it can see is 0.0097, which is noticeably less than 0.05, so we can reject the null hypothesis that the variances are the same across the two groups, and therefore we have to assume that the variances are different. This is the last piece of the puzzle. It now tells us which version of the t-test we need to use, and you would have to have this level of detail in a write-up. You can't just, as I said in the previous video, run two t-tests, one for equal variances, one for different variances. You've got to show all your decisions at every stage and back it up. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Thank you.